Hey guys, on today's episode, we're working on this, a Ferrari 812 Compe, $1 million car, absolutely spectacular. Now we all know when a car leaves any manufacturer and comes to the United States, it's been on a boat for God knows how long, it's gonna need a little bit of love. So how are we gonna actually clean a $1 million car? Find out today on this episode of Drive and Protect. Big thank you to our sponsor, Factor, for helping us out with today's video. More on this during lunch. The 812 Comp A, or Aperta, meaning open top, is a limited series target top. Only 599 are being built, with this one being one of 599. It comes with 819 horse, 6.5 liter V12 that revs to 9,500 RPM and sounds glorious with its new exhaust pipe. Now, the new exhaust pipe introduces a gasoline particle filter and a second pair of resonators while maintaining a medium to high frequency sound, excellent acoustics, crazy performance, and overall aesthetics. The bottom line is this thing can go from 0 to 62 in 2.85 seconds, 0 to 124 miles an hour in 7.5 seconds, and it tops out at 211 miles an hour. And oh yeah, it comes with an open top. Just insane. In my opinion, the V12 is by a mile the best sounding engine ever, so this thing is a hammer. Anyhow, like most new cars these days, we need to get the paint to look as good as the engine sounds. So step one is to get her off the ground and remove the wheels. Check this out. What's super cool on the Cup 2Rs is look at the inside here. That is purposefully slick. So that's why it's actually designed. When I first looked at it, I was like, whoa, these tires are already bald. What happened? But that's how it's actually designed. Very, very cool. I was talking to some guys at Ferrari. That is a mean tire. With the Ferrari up on the lift, clearly you can see it's brand new. There's a little bit of dirt here and there just from driving around the driveway here. So we're gonna give it a quick cleanup, and I like to do that as the first thing. So when it's up on the lift, first thing is I like to be able to look on the back side of each of the calipers, get a really good look of if it is in fact dirty or not. In this case, it's not, but we are gonna go through it. The coolest part is when you're underneath a car like this, this entire diffuser is carbon fiber. Absolutely amazing. Check that out. Next, I soaked the undercarriage in Brute and Boost anti-salt as it's incredibly cold, icy snow, and there's sand and salt outside. And I don't know if this thing was driven outside when it was picked up by the flatbed or it was loaded while it was inside. So just safer to assume it was driven outside and to dissolve any salt if there's any there. Based on what I could see when I was underneath, removing the under trays would just be unnecessary. And also keep in mind, if you have compressed air, it is definitely your friend here, so use it if you have it. First, we're gonna pre-soak the paint in Ammo Boost to break down the mineral deposits. As you can see on the glass here, there's water spots everywhere, pretty typical because the car goes from port to port as it comes to the United States. Same kind of concept in winter, sand and salt. You wanna use Ammo Boost with foam or Ammo Boost with Brute to break down those salt to prevent rust. So first step here is to soak the car in Ammo Boost. Okay, so I'm right in the middle of this paint correction, but it is now time to refuel to keep my brain focused on a $1 million car. And to do that, of course, I'm having Factor for lunch for multiple reasons. Number one, I just don't have time to get caught up in the fast food line. Number two, it's less expensive. But three, the big one, it tastes better and it's better for you. It's a no-brainer. Every week I check out their menu online, 35 plus chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options. I always seem to find something to eat, including snacks, smoothies, juices, and so on. For me, it's about good food shipped to my door, cooked in 2 minutes so I can get back to polishing and running my business. Eating in the back of a Rolls under the stars doesn't get any better than this. All right, guys, head over to factor75.com or click the link down below and use code AMMO50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life. 2 free wellness shots from 3 available flavors for every order while you're an active subscriber of Factor. Now, back to the 812. With about 2 or 3 ounces of both foam paint cleanser and Boost anti-salt in the reservoir, I then filled it up about 3/4 full with water, then maxed out the air to water mixture so that the foam would be as dry as possible and that it would stick to the paint and increase its dwell time. So pre-soaks are a little bit different, and they're done before rinsing the paint to allow the chemical, in this case the anti-salt additives, to chelate to help dissolve the salts that are on the paint. Normally you would just go in and rinse the paint first. This time we're going to pre-soak it. After a 5-minute soak, then I rinse the paint thoroughly. Next, I foam the paint and wash as I would in a regular or normal situation. Foam the paint, foam and boost in the bucket, fill it up about halfway, then I use my blue wash towels for gentle agitation. Afterwards, use the long hair brush to reach the tight spots that tend to have leftover wax, or in this case compound residue from the post-paint sanding process. On the calipers, I'm using Ammo Plum, which is a non-acidic, high pH or basic cleaner, because it works incredibly well and it's much safer, especially on carbon ceramics that tend to not play well with stronger acids. Just for peace of mind when you're working on ceramics, you got to work a little bit quicker and then rinse quick. Don't let anything dwell. Again, it's a good habit to develop when you're working on these type of high-end cars. Okay, during the wash, as I was going back and forth with the wash towel, I could feel and hear, listen, there's just tons of overspray on here. Again, relatively normal and typical on a car that's brand new. Maybe it sat outside, maybe it was in transport, who knows, but it needs to be clayed. The fact that it's still wet is a good thing. So what we're gonna do is take our towel that we just used, use that as lubrication. I'll just do this small spot here. Make sure your clay bar is lubricated, but now we're using the soap that we just used. You're gonna come in, short, quick strokes, and I'm barely putting any pressure on it. That's a big thing. Most people put way too much downward pressure. You're just kind of pulling out all the blackheads in the paint. And now I'll go in. There's a little bit here and there, nothing major. Again, it's a brand new car. It wasn't like necessarily sitting under a tree for years and years and years, and this would all turn, let's say, a little orange or some black dots on there. Now listen, completely different. So I've decided to do this before I go in and actually polish. I can get it out with a wool pad and all that junk will get stuck in the wool pad, but I'm trying to get really close to perfection here, and I don't want my pad to get filled up with contamination from the paint. So we're actually gonna clay it now. Take me about 10-15 minutes, will be good. Rinse it off again, dry the paint with air and a towel, then we're gonna go in and polish it. Now keep in mind, normally I would use Ammo Hydrate during the drying process, let's say of a normal wash, but because I'm actually going to polish it afterwards, we're not going to use it. To clean the removed wheels, once again, I'm using Ammo Plum, wheel brush, and a towel. Now clearly, these things aren't disgusting, it's brand new. Plus, it has CCBs, they're not going to throw off a whole lot of dust. So my goal here is really just kind of looking around for any new tire glue stickers or anything that is going to interfere with coating in the next step. Now, the reason the A12 is here is really to tighten up the paint a bit, and all of that prep work we just did beforehand was to give us the best opportunity for a smooth polishing process, which will, in turn, give us a flawless paint finish, so we have to go through these steps. Now, for the actual paint correction, I'm using a 6-inch sheer wool cutting pad and exfoliate polish. This isn't too aggressive, and it's very slow and careful, methodical sort of archaeology. I think about it as preservation. I'm not trying to blast this thing out with heavy compounds on a car that costs more than most homes. So you're gonna have to take a few extra minutes here because it makes a whole lot of sense, and the customer who can attain this car at this level will absolutely be willing to pay for that few extra minutes, that extra hour that's required to work in this sort of preservation mindset. As a professional detailer, you can also think about it from a different perspective. Think of it like an insurance policy on your work and your reputation. Speed is not your friend when you're working on these types of cars. On super light colored paints like this, it's best to shut the lights completely off. We've talked about this before. Then you take your light, you get really close to the paint. I'm not touching the paint, but I'm super close. And now I'm looking along the sort of flat surface of the paint as opposed to angled. And then lift this up just a little bit and bang, you can see I missed a spot right here. And one in here. And it's pretty common. Anytime you get into this little wave here, there's a little hump that's right here in the middle of the hood, kind of like a cow, right in the the scoop of it, you're always gonna miss a spot. It's pretty common because the pad doesn't sit flat. So I'm basically gonna be doing this all around the car in the dark, and then I'll turn the lights on, polish, so I can see what I'm doing, and then I'll come back and inspect it again, the lights off, and kind of hop around until I find the right view. So this is what takes forever and a day doing cars like this, but it's fun. As you can see right here, there's just marks that can't come off with wiping, so I have to use my 1-inch pneumatic to clean up the plastic lenses. Although, as I just mentioned, I always try to stick with the larger shear cutting pad, sometimes you do have to drop down to a 1 or 2-inch pad. These taillights are a perfect example of that. On the soft piano black areas near the rear bumper, the A-pillars, and the mirrors, the swirls are super visible because it's super soft, it's black, and there's just nowhere to hide. For this area, I went back to the 6-inch pad and exfoliate. Now, the trick here is to work extra clean and blow out the pad more often because there's more residue coming off because it's super soft. Clearly, you can see the difference night and day. It looks really good. Now, if you look really closely, you can actually see a ton of fibers coming off the pad when I'm working on the driver's side. That's because there's actual screw holes in the plastic that are there for the license plate, and they're really sharp. And essentially, it's slicing the fibers off the pad as I polish around the hose. I'm not sure if you noticed that. But anyways, on the smaller areas, I went back in with the 1-inch for the super tight spots. Okay, so for those of you watching super closely, you'll notice that I did the A-pillar with a 6-inch machine. This really should have been done with a 3-inch machine. So if you're uncomfortable, definitely use a 3-inch, maybe a 2-inch in these little areas. But I decided to use a 6-inch. Why? I have new pads. You can see the pad right here. As I turn it, you can see that it's straight cut. That's why we call a straight cut waffle. And normally, pads have a little bit of a taper. Now, what's the big deal? When you have a taper and you're working in a smaller area, you have a tendency to flop over. As the pad is rotating, you could hit this matte area or hit down here or hit here where you don't want to hit. When you straight cut it, right down like that, it's way more precise. I'm not encouraging you necessarily to use it all the time on a 3-inch unless you're super comfortable with the machine. So what I did, as you saw, is I tilted. If you tilt a little bit and you're comfortable with the machine, you can actually use a 6-inch and a 3-inch. Why does that matter? It matters for two reasons. One, you've increased the size of the surface area that's gonna help you with residue control, especially on piano black. Very, very critical. The second thing is in terms of speed, I can move much faster because I'm not changing machines, I'm not changing pads, and I can go through and continue working quicker. Again, time is money in a professional setting. So I just want to give you a little bit of behind the scenes as to why I did that, because I know I was going to receive some emails like, why are you using a 6-inch in this tiny little area? It's because I can manipulate the angle just a little bit. This pad is really incredibly helpful in those areas. But again, if you're uncomfortable, use a 3-inch, you're good to go. I'm gonna repeat this on the other side. I have to do the top, then we're gonna clean it up again, and we're gonna start polishing the calipers, put the wheels back on, and then we gotta put the clear bra on too. Whew, lots to do. Next up was the engine carbon fiber, and it needed some love as well, and it's everywhere. It looks absolutely spectacular. To bring it back, I used the 3-inch LHR 75 and the waffle foam pad with exfoliate to remove the imperfections. After all the paint was done, I then polished out the calipers as well in preparation for a coating on both the wheels and the calipers themselves. Now, it's kind of exciting from a nerd perspective that this car with carbon ceramic brakes, coated wheels, and coated calipers, it's a very simple power washing of the wheels after driving. That's all that's needed, and the thing's gonna look absolutely amazing. So that is the secret. If you wanna spend crazy money and never have to clean your wheels, that's the way to do it. Over the next few days, we clear brod the entire car, especially the diffusers are definitely going to catch a rock on pretty much every single ride, so it's smart to put it there. But it was so cold outside that we actually needed a portable heater to keep the paint protection film, the PPF, the clear bra, really flexible when you put it on. So keep that in mind. If you're working in cold areas, you're going to need to make sure your shops are really warm. Naturally, just about then, I got a knock on my door. I heard somebody outside, and you could see it is freezing out here. We got a surprise arrival of the Ferrari Daytona SP3. So this was a coordinated surprise for my client. He's going to come in and see the 812, and I'm going to surprise him with this, so make sure you stay tuned for the reveal. Anyhow, with the Daytona now in the studio and my garage seemingly all bright yellow, I refocused on the 812 by applying Reflex Pro 2 over the paint protection film. To do that, give the bottle a healthy shake, apply 7 or 8 drops to a blue microfiber applicator pad, and work one section at a time in a thick coat and allow it to cure until you see a rainbow. Then remove it with 2 white final wipe towels. When you're buffing off the coating, make sure you spend some time gently leveling the coating with your towels. Let it harden overnight, but you do want to spend some time kind of manipulating it and making sure it sits perfectly level so you get the maximum reflection. If you're wondering, it's yes, Reflex can be applied over matte PPF as well. If you can see on the roof there, it's actually going to increase the depth of matte finish PPF. It's not going to give it shine, but you will see a deeper, richer look. And as you can see here, the 50/50, it looks 10 times better. So we completed that same process on all the matte PPF as well. With the coating now curing, I played with the dirty interior by first blowing the Alcantara carpets. Notice I didn't say matte. The carpets are actually Alcantara, which is pretty cool. Now, I did that with the diffuser to make vacuuming much easier after everything was dislodged. Now, remember, it's Alcantara, so as I'm blowing it, just like a steering wheel or a seat, it's lifting up those fibers, making it way easier to vacuum later on. Next, I cleaned the door and the seats with lather and a towel. There was no brushes needed. There wasn't anything really bad. Obviously, it's just a light wipe down because there's a bunch of dust from the transportation, and she was good to go. Lastly, I cleaned up the glass and removed all of the inspection and quality assurance factory stickers and added mud tire dressing to the rubber for a fresh, clean look. All right, guys, we're done with the Ferrari 812. What a spectacular vehicle. Sounds incredible. Now, the paint was actually pretty good, and we went way overboard, made it look spectacular, put a clear bra on it, coating, the whole 9 yards. So Dominic's gonna be pumped. Now, he hasn't seen it yet, and the interesting thing is it's snowing outside, so normally what I do is I go for a ride in this and show you, but I'm not gonna do that, especially with a car with this much horsepower and basically riding on slicks. You have the Michelin Cup 2Rs. Not a good look, so we're actually gonna flatbed it enclosed over to Dominic's place, but he's coming over here to see the car first. What he doesn't know is during that time, I've had it for like a week or two, maybe 10, 12 days. During that time, the Ferrari dealership called and said, hey, we actually have his Daytona, and we're gonna ship it up to you and have it so that you can work on it and surprise Dominic. So it's right there. He doesn't know that it's here. So I said, hey, Dominic, come over here, check out the 812. And so when he walks in, he's gonna be like, oh my God, he's got 2 unbelievable Ferraris in here. So we're kind of excited about that. This is the one that's been detailed. Check that out. Looks crazy. Look at that. And then this one just got off the trailer. So we have a bunch of work to do on that on the next one. So he's coming in. Let's go surprise him. I think he's here. Hey. Hey. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Why are we outside?
Because I just wanted you to feel the cold.
I'm feeling it.
You're feeling the cold. All right.
I'm feeling it. See?
So look, you excited to see the 812?
I am excited to see the 812. It's only been weeks.
Here you go.
Hey.
Whoa.
Holy
surprise.
Oh my God.
So Ferrari called and said, hey, can we drop off the Daytona? And I was like, you know what? I'm about to see Dominic, and I think he might be a little surprised.
I'm definitely a little surprised because they've been like dragging on when the heck they were going to deliver this thing. Oh
so what's your favorite color again? I can't quite.
It's not yellow?
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. This thing is super cool. Obviously, that's the shiny one. This one just came off the truck, so it's a little on the dirty side.
It's dirty, and the pictures definitely don't do it justice. They've sent me a bunch of pictures on it.
It's first time seeing it in person?
First time seeing it in person, yeah. It's just
I love the
absolutely
stripes,
amazing.
the inverted stripes on the steering wheel, like very, very nice.
Absolutely amazing spec, and the paint's in pretty decent shape. Pretty decent shape for coming off a Carrier.
We're going to go through this, and that's going to be the next episode.
So it's going to look like that?
It's going to look like this one.
Right,
Today,
wow.
the 812. So we cleaned up. It's actually decent paint. We made it better.
Okay.
But so that's good. So it was a good base. We cleaned it all up, put a clear bra on everything, then put Reflex Pro on there, you know, a coating.
So did you clear the matte carbon?
Cleared the matte as well.
Oh my God, it looks like it's not even there.
Even this here, this has all been cleared, even underneath has been. But obviously,
so what you're telling me is I could drive it?
You can drive it right now.
But not in this weather.
I didn't have the guts to say like, hey Dominic, I'm coming over right now with slicks on. I didn't think you'd appreciate that.
Probably not good going back to the garage.
Yeah, these have all been coated as well. We took the wheels off, etc. Check out the engine. This is where we went a little crazy.
So the engine's, you know, way back in this thing.
It's too bad you didn't get the big engine is what I was thinking.
Next time. next time I'll get the big engine. Jesus,
is that
big engine, big carbon.
Yes,
wow.
all of this is like perfectly clean. We polished all this out.
Oh my God.
And then of course, when you start it, I mean, holy cow. And so this is the same engine as this, yes?
So the blue 812 GTS that you cleared.
I remember that one.
The Monza.
Yes.
SP1. This and this are all that same engine, or all that same 800 plus horsepower engine. There's going to be 2 more cars with that engine. So SP4, so you have SP1 and SP2, Monza SP1, Monza SP2, Daytona SP3. SP4 will be the last of the Icona series. That's going to come in a couple of years. So that'll have the 12-cylinder, and from what we've heard, this May at the Miami Grand Prix, they're going to launch the 812 GTS replacement. They're actually going to launch the coupe and the convertible on the same day at the Miami Grand Prix, and that will be the last launch of a 12-cylinder car.
Are you getting that one?
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
Don't be ridiculous, Larry.
Exactly. You have to.
I know.
I can give you one guess what color it's going to be. Actually, no, it won't be yellow.
What's it going to be?
I don't know, because it's it's not a special series car. So if you notice, like my F8, my 296, you know, the famous 296.
Sure, I remember.
The 812 are all different colors. It's only my special series cars that I do in the yellow, right? So the F12 TDF, which this is the replacement for, right? So we just sold the F12 TDF, bye-bye, had to go. With this one coming in, and this had to match. And when the LaFerrari replacement comes out, it will be, you know, spec'd just like this.
That's awesome. Are you surprised?
Extremely surprised.
Are you happy?
Waiting and waiting, and they've told me, oh, it's at port, it's at the dealership, it's in prep, it's this, it's that, it's everybody's making excuses, but I'm glad it's finally here on the worst possible weather imaginable so far for the year.
But she's going to be cleaned up. Congratulations, my friend. You're a good man. I'm excited. This is the next one we're going to do. As always, guys, thanks for watching. We have a crazy car coming up soon. I'll talk to you.